And they were feeding them and giving them water and everything that they needed to survive. But they found that these babies were dying. And they were like, why are these babies dying? But they found that if they picked them up and held them once or twice a day, that they fully recovered. Like, we need to be held. And biologically, we need to be held. Like, we need that intimacy. We desire that. We're made for that. And Christ knew this. There's another story. It's pretty cool. There's this son and his father. And his son is really physically unable to do pretty much anything. And so his father has to, like, help him out with a lot of things, mom too. But of course, his son has like this dream to go and run marathons. And you're like, wait, like, you can't like walk. Like, wow, okay. So then his father says, like, I'm gonna train to run marathons. And so he ends up doing this. Like, picture that, like, a marathon's already hard enough. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a runner. Like, I try, but like, no. And so, but just like imagine having to like run that marathon, but also push someone else through it. And then, even further than that, he was like, oh, actually, like, I wanna do a triathlon. And so, like, if I were the father, I'd be like, dude, for real? Like, that means like getting into water and like stuff. And so, but he does it. He like trains for these triathlons, and he was like all over the news and stuff. And they described like the newscast of like whenever they were in the water portion of the triathlon, that he was like pulling him on a raft, like swimming and pulling him literally on a raft. I was like, dang. And I don't know, like if I were that dad, I'd probably like look physically like exhausted and like maybe a little annoyed. Like, I don't know, this is a lot. But like they described this dad, this like blew my mind. They described this dad and they said like he just like scooped him out of the water, and they like looked at his face and he didn't look burdened. I mean, tired probably, but like he didn't look like he was annoyed that he had to carry his son through this race. And I was immediately hit, like that is God the Father wanting to hold us so badly and wanting us to know that our burdens are too much, that we're not too heavy to be held. Like even like, I was sitting on Fallon's lap earlier and I was like, I feel like I'm really hurting her right now and I just want to like take some of my weight off just a little. And like, it just made me think about that like the Lord wants us to rest and be held so badly. And to just give our full weight in, not like, I know I'm tense a lot, so like I tense up my shoulders, but like he wants us to like relax and to rest and to be with him, and we're not like, it's not too much for him. It's never too much for him. Because he wants this intimacy just as much as we do. In fact, he wants it more. He wants us to be able to let go. It says in Mark that he went up into the hills and called to him those whom he desired, and they came to him. He called to him those whom he desired. He desires you. I don't know if you know that. He desires you. I was hit the other day. I was in adoration, and usually there's like a lot of people in there, but I ended up being in there for like 40 minutes by myself. And I was like, this is really cool. And I kind of felt like unworthy of that. I was like, shouldn't there be like someone else in here too? Like this isn't just meant like for me. But I just felt him saying like, no, you are enough. It doesn't matter that like no one else is here. You are why I'm here. I was like, whoa. He thirsts for intimacy. He thirsts to be with us. That's why he instituted the Eucharist, because he's a God that didn't believe that it was enough to just be crucified on the cross or give us our lives that we live and give us our friends. Like I know I feel really unworthy to have the friends that I have, but it's a free gift, just as the Eucharist is in his full self. He longs to give us himself, like his full self. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure that this is true for all human people, that I doubt that I'm loved all the time. And I was once on a retreat similarly, back in the high school days. Think back to those days. Glad they're over. Moving on. And I remember like not really having like a full experience in adoration. I remember going on my confirmation retreat and just like a lot of people put a lot of expectations on the experience. Like I had to feel something specific for it to be a meaningful experience, or I had to be like really emotional. And so I remember going into this retreat with a lot of other things going on in my life, like family stuff going on, and a lot of just personal burdens. Like I said, like I just did not really believe that I was loved. And I remember just sitting in the presence of the Eucharist, like a lot of my friends around me were crying, and I was just like, I just wanna believe in this, but like, I just don't have that kind of emotion about it. And I remember just staring at the Eucharist, and just thinking about like how much I long to be fully known and received by someone, like fully, like. And then I remembered like the words exposition, like whenever they expose the Eucharist, they call it like the exposition of the Eucharist. And that's not a coincidence, it's like he's exposing himself fully. And so as I was sitting there, I was like, man, like he's fully exposing himself to me right now. Like it's not about my emotions. And then I just felt like these words coming to my heart, which was whenever I heard that this was the theme of the retreat, I was like, dang, yep. So I remember looking at Jesus and just hearing this voice like in my heart, not like this booming thing, but like this whisper saying, come to me. Come to me, and I will give you rest. And just knowing and fully believing like this has to be true because I long for this. Like this has to be true. I long to be fully known and fully received by someone, and this person is giving themselves fully to me, holding nothing back. I want that. There's something to be said for that. And this verse just keeps coming up whenever I think of the Eucharist. It's from Song of Solomon 6, verse 6:10. It says, I am my beloved's and his desire is for me. I am my beloved's and his desire is for me. So I remember like sitting in adoration, then like finding myself like floating over to the confession line because I was terrified. I didn't want to be fully received. I didn't want to fully expose myself. But here I was saying all these things to this priest, and I remember coming out, and the only word I can think to describe how I felt is rest. Definitely 100% rest. And it wasn't attached to any like emotion. It was just solely like truth. And we all long for this. We all long for this intimacy, this someone to like fully receive us and then also fully give us themselves. And he holds nothing back. There's this verse, not this verse, this quote from this book that I have right here. And it's about Saint Therese. I don't know if that's someone's table saint, right? Yes, over there, Halloween. But it just really like speaks to the volumes of the Lord's sacrifice, and that we are his beloveds and his desires for us, and nothing's gonna hold him back from that. Like he's coming after us. And his Eucharistic gaze upon us is so deep. So it says, after Gethsemane came the horrible scourging, the crowning with thorns, and Calvary. Jesus looked with merciful love at those who had wounded his hands and his feet, because those wounds were to be the doors to heaven, even for those who had made them. And he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. As if that were not enough, he invented the Eucharist, a God who makes himself into bread, a little host, in order to descend upon our lips and into our hearts, to bridge all distance between himself and us, to bridge all distance between himself and us. Love is exacting. Love is absolute. So he instituted the sacrament, which affects between him and us more than a union, more than a fusion. The oneness of love. He wants us to become one with him. He could bring about this oneness only by changing us into himself. Yes, truly, he loved us immensely. He loved us with an incomprehensible love which surpasses all words on earth. He loved to the utmost limit. So John finds only these words for it. He loved them unto the end. That one paragraph that says, as if it were not enough, he invented the Eucharist, a God who makes himself into bread, a little host, in order to descend onto our lips and into our hearts, to bridge all distance between himself and us. To bridge all distance. To have nothing in the way. It wasn't enough for him to die on that cross. It wasn't enough. He said, no, there's more that I want. I want to dwell in them. I want to be as close as I possibly can be. And that is the root of how we are so loved. With the sacrament, with the Blessed Sacrament of the Eucharist. Just allow yourself to enter in, to behold, to enter in and know that he is known to us in the breaking of the bread, that he is fully himself, fully known. And that he wants to hold you. He wants to hold you so dearly and so close. And he wants you to know of his love. He wants you to know deeply. And to ultimately rest there, and to not be afraid to rest. To come to him. He's saying this to each of us. He's not just saying it to me that one time 4 years ago on my confirmation retreat. He's saying it to each of us. Come. Come, this is my invitation. This is my invitation. I look upon you with so much love. And it wasn't enough for me to just stand here and look at you, but I need to be, to